this audio player over here. With this audio player, you'd be able to load audio files remotely from a server, and then you'd be able to play them like this. Yes. And then you'd be able to stop it like this, and after that you'd learn how to also do how to repeat an audio like this. When you click the button, it'll start automatically from the beginning, as you can see. And at the same time, you'll also learn how to do fast forward by clicking on a button like this. As you can see,
I'd like a hamburger,
the time is changing to fast, or you can do slow forward, or you can slow the time. And then you'll learn also how to add audio from this playlist and play it the same way we did earlier, just like this. Okay, so this is what we'll be building at the end of this tutorial, and this would be a beginner's audio app building tutorial. And if you are following along with me from the previous tutorial, I'll also show you at the end of this tutorial how to connect this UI or this page to our previous page over here. Okay, so you'll learn how to connect from here to here and play the audio. Okay, so that's what I would be doing at the end of this tutorial. And if you're following along with me, I'll put the code link below the video description section so that you can download the code and get started. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is where we left last time. So this is our home page, and home page is this one. We did it in our last tutorial. So see the link below if you don't know how to follow this. And we also have this couple of JSON files, app colors and my tabs dart file. Okay, and for this going ahead fast, I created a file which is a detail audio page dart, and which lives in this lib folder. And once again, you get to see the other folders and directories we created in our last tutorial. So asset folder, and we also have this img folder. And once again, if you are just following this tutorial for audio builder, this is the perfect place. And at the end of this tutorial, I'll show you how to connect our UI with the previous tutorial. Okay, so now over here we'll create a stateful widget, and we'll call it detail audio page. Okay, and we need to import a file. It's a Cupertino.dart, and the arrow should be gone. And at the same time, for now, we need to replace this one with our newly created file, which is detail audio page. And now let's go ahead and save it, and we'll see the result. And definitely it's all dark because nothing is there. Now instead of returning a container, we'll return a scaffold widget. Okay, and within scaffold widget we'll have body, and within body we'll use a stack widget. Okay, the reason we are going to use a stack widget because over here, as you can see, the UI design, this icons on the blue background, and at the same time this little box over here, it's also on the blue and the white one at the same time. Okay, and then we have this other UI which is in this box. So these are all styled using positioned widget, and positioned widget, they can sit on the top of each other or they can overlap with each other. This is more like CSS absolute positioning. So the idea is pretty much same. And because we are using positioned widget, or we'll be using position widget, so that's why we have stack widget, because stack widget holds position widget. So frankly speaking, if you have position widget, you have to wrap them around stack widget. Okay, so that's what we are doing. So we'll have a few more position widgets, so they would be as a children of stack widget. So let's go ahead and create a children list like this. Okay, and after that we'll create our first position widget for this blue background over here. So let's go ahead and call the position. Okay, and it takes a child, and in our case child, for child we'll pass a container. Okay, and positioned, again, as from the name you understand, it will have top left position, top 0, left 0, and right 0. so which will start from here, and the right position is here, and the top is over here. All right, okay, and now this one will have height. Okay, so what's the height? So height will be this part, and this height is pretty much the height of one. I guess this is the 1/5 of this to this UI, 1/5 of this UI, this position. Okay, all right, so that's what we would be doing. So we can write here like this, say media query dot off context, and then we can do dot size dot height. Okay, all right, and what we could do like 1/5 like this, but this height position actually, or this height property, or this height would be using in a lot of different places. So why don't we declare a variable? Okay, so the variable would be final double, and we'll call it screen height equal this one. Okay, and at the same time, what we can do, we can copy paste this. Instead of calling it height, and call it width, and from here returning height, we can return width. Okay, so now we are good over here. Instead of this long name, what we could do screen height by 5. Okay, so this is pretty much 1/5 of this whole screen. So that's what we are doing over here. And now this will have a color. Okay, so let's define the color, and to use the color, we have already color palette over here, color file, so we can call it directly. To call them directly, we need to import it. So we can import it as app colors using this statement. So we'll copy paste it over here. Okay, so now we'll have access to our app color file using this variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and call it. We'll call app colors dot blue background, second one. Okay, all right, so now let's go ahead and save it and see the end result. Okay, perfect. So instead of 1/5, what we could do, we can do 1/3, so it would be a bit bigger. Okay, perfect. So that's what we want. So we are done with our first widget, which is responsible for drawing this blue background. So next we would be doing this icon over here, this two icon, and this two icon will put them within our AppBar widget, and that AppBar widget will stay within our position widget. So let's go ahead and declare another position widget. Okay, and the child is AppBar. Okay, all right, and once again it will have top position, so top 0, left 0, and right 0. So it will start from here, top, left, and right. Okay, all right. Now AppBar, because we are doing icons, so we can show them using a leading property, and it takes a widget, so we can use the widget icon button, and icon button takes a few properties. One of them is icon. So now we can use another icon widget called icons dot arrow back iOS, this one. Okay, and then we'll also have on pressed event for this, but for now on pressed event is empty. We'll deal with this later. Okay, so with this we'd be able to say this first icon over here. Let's go ahead, save it, and see the result. Okay, so that's what we have. Now the next thing we want to do is show this one. Okay, so this is another icon, and we'd be showing it from the backward. So with this, as you can see from the name, it's leading, it means the first icon, and the rest of the icon in AppBar, they should sit within another property that's called actions. Action takes a couple of children, and these children could be anything. In our case they are icons, so we'll only use one icon. So the thing we could do, we can copy paste this icon from here. Okay, and just all we need to do, change the icon name. Instead of this, we can use search. Okay, and onPressed event is still empty, so let's go ahead and save it and see the end result. So perfect. So for now we are following along with our design, but now the problem is you can ask one question. So it is 0 0, why it's the icon down there? It's because AppBar starts from here and icons automatically at the bottom of AppBar, okay, below down there. So actually it starts from here because we did 0 0. Okay, all right. And another problem is from this UI we can see that our AppBar color and background color should be same, but here it's not. It's because AppBar has a default color which is this kind of blue, but definitely we can change the color. The few things we can do, the first thing we can, to change the color, we can call background property. We'll call it colors.transparent. Let's save it and see the result. And as you see now, it's still there and it's more like a shadow color, but we don't want shadow. There is shadow. The reason is because AppBar has elevation, and elevation has certain default value. In our case, we'll set elevation to 0.0, and then we'll see this background has gone. Now it's more flat to this one. Okay, so we are done with this section. So for now we have used two positioned widget. First position widget, this one is responsible for showing the background, and the second one is for showing these two icons. Now the third one would be using another position widget to show this container which has a round border or corner like that. So that one. So let's go ahead and create another position widget, and once again it takes a child, and within the child we'll have a container as widget. Okay, all right. Now it needs a position. As you can see, this container, it has certain distance from the top, so we have to create this position. All right, okay. Another thing we need to do, left position. So left position is 0, right position is 0 as well, and then the top. Okay, so this top position could be, say, I would say 1/3, a little over 1/3. Okay, so just like earlier, we can use this variable and modify it. Okay, so we'll use the screen height, and then we'll give it the position. It's more like pretty much little over 1/3, I guess. Okay, so what do? We could do 0.36, little over 1/3. Okay, and now this will have, so this is the position, right? And at the same time we need to give it a height. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. So height, so let's see the height. So we can give pretty much the same height over here, and let's see the result. And for now, as a color, background color, we'll use colors.red, and later on we can change the color. Let's go ahead and see the end result, and looks like our position is wrong position. So the top position is a little wrong. So instead of doing 0.36, let's do 2 and see the result. Okay, perfect. So this is where we want it. So exactly the same position as you can see from here, but of course we need to change the color. So instead of red, what we could do white. Okay, and next we need to create this a border over here which has this rounded border, as you can see, and we'd be doing it using decoration. So decoration takes box decoration widget, and using box decoration definitely we can change the border radius. So we'll call border radius dot circular. We'll use circular border. Okay, all right. And if you have container and box decoration together, you should define the color within box decoration. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now as you can see, the border is right there. Now we also need to change this background, which was the main background earlier defined for scaffold. Okay, so we can change the background color from here. We'll call it from app colors file, and the color we want to use is audio bluish, this color. Okay, perfect. And once again, the app color is coming from over here. Okay, all right, so we are done with this box and container pretty much. Next thing we want to do is create this text. And okay, well, now we'll do this text, this big text, and this subtext or subtitle. Okay, well, to do that, one thing we need to do, we need to wrap this text in a column, so they would be sitting on the top of each other, including later on would be showing this audio player. This is also part of this column, so everything would be in a column. They would be sitting on the top of each other. This would be at the top, and then this one. Okay, all right, so within a container, let's go ahead and declare a child. So this is our container. We'll declare a child over here within this container, child, and we'll call column. And as you already know that column takes children, so we'll define this children over here. Okay, and children will have a lot of child. The first one is text child, so we'll call text. And for now, we'll do it hard-coded, but at the end of this tutorial, we'll load everything from a JSON file and load them dynamically. The water cure, and then we'll use style. So what is our style? Style would be using text style. And within it we'll have font family, font size, say font size 30, font weight, bold, and let's see what else. Font family Avenir, this one. Okay, now let's go ahead, save it and run it, see the result. Okay, now it is to top, right? So we don't want it that much top. We want somewhere, say for example here. Okay, so this is where we need to draw it. Okay, so to put it down, we need to define a sized box over here, so it will have a fixed size. So let's go ahead and do it. Sized box, and it has height property. Okay, and again we'll use our screen height variable. Just now we did early, and this height is pretty much from here to here down there. It should be 100. So let's try 0.1 and let's see the result. Okay, we have an error because we are missing a comma. Okay, now let's see. Okay, perfect. So this is pretty much 100. Okay, I think this is a little over 100, but that's fine though. So the next thing we'll do is define another text property for the subtitle. So we'll call it what's the writer's name? Let's see. So Martin Hyatt. So his name is Martin Hyatt. Okay, all right, and we can also do text style here. Text style. Okay, and font, say font width. We just go with font size and let's do it 20. Okay, save the result. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's what we have. So the next thing we want to do is show this guy at the top. Okay, and as you can see from this picture that, well, now this one is sitting on the top of this blue background and also on the top of this white container over here. And once again, because they're sitting on the top of it is sitting on the top of other widgets, so we need to wrap this thing around position widget, which we have done early for other widgets. So for this one it will be pretty much the same. So we need to declare a new position widget. Let me collapse them so that we look organized. Okay, all right, so this would be sitting on the top of other widget, and to do that we need to wrap this one later on within positioned widget. Okay, we'll start with positioned widget. Okay, let's go ahead and declare a new positioned widget. All right, and once again, it takes a child. So child will use container. Okay, all right, and we want to give it a position. So let's do top position, and then we'll use a screen height for this and multiply with 0.12. So its top position is a little over 100, like that, little over, because 0.12. So because as you need to notice that we are using this width and the screen height, so it's based on device, it'll change. So across all the devices, the height and position, they would all look the similar. So that's why at the beginning we take this variable which we declared early, and based on that we will take our top position with left, right, like that. Okay, so that on all the devices it looks similar. Otherwise, if you really hard code say top 150, so in some iPhones or Android phones are very small, in that case 150 would be a lot of space. But because we are taking device height, and based on that we are trying to position our widget, so they would the look and feeling would be good. Okay, all right, next one is left. So the left is pretty interesting. So for left, first we need to take the whole width, so that's what we would be using here from screen width, and then we take this one, the whole width, and after that, okay, we want this width to be 150. So let's do minus 150 and wrap it around a bracket and then divide it by 2. So let me tell you what's happening here. So this is the left position. Say, first we define this variable to be 150, this width, and we minus it from the screen width. So this is the screen width, all right? So if we minus, the position is over here, okay, and then we are left with this width, okay, and again later on we divide it by 2. So this position if you divide this position by 2, it would be somewhere here. So the left position ends up here. Hopefully it makes sense. All right, now we'll do the same for our right position. Okay, just do right over here. So idea is at first take the whole width and minus your container width, which is 150. So it will be positioned over here, right position, and then the position will be here, and then whatever the position we get divided by 2, so it'll move the right position to over here. So hopefully it makes sense. If you still don't understand, you can ask me questions later in the comment section below. Okay, all right, so that's for the positioning. So we have top, left, right, and later on we have to decorate our container. As you can see from here, it is special border. Okay, so let's do decoration. So we'll use box decoration. Okay, and box decoration will have border radius. We already know, we have done it pretty much a couple of times. And circular radius, we'll use a 20. Okay, all right, and then we'll have border. So we'll define a border for this container, border.all, and we'll also use a color for this, colors.white and what do you call 2. Okay, all right, let's see, and what else? So I think we can go ahead and save it and see the result. Okay, all right, now nothing is there because we don't have this container height, so that's why nothing is there, it's all empty. But once we have content inside it, so that container will take the whole space and it will look bigger. So let's put some content inside. Okay, Well, first thing we need to do to put some content, we can define child within this container. Okay, let's go ahead and define child. So child, and in this case we want a padding child. Okay, we want padding child because of this one, because we will put an image and the image should have this equal top padding, left padding, and bottom padding, right padding. Okay, so all these things. So that's why we want padding. So padding would take equal space on every side, and rest of the space would be for this image. So let's go ahead and do it. So first define padding. So we'll do const edge insets all, and everywhere we'll have padding, say 20 pixels. All right, and after that we'll have again child, and child would be a container, and this child is here because we want to wrap this image over here, or put this image actually, and that's why we need a child. Okay, all right, and at the same time we want to decorate this image, so that's why actually we need the child, because if we don't have container, I guess we can't directly decorate. As you can see, it has this border, round border, as well as some I guess width. Okay, so that's why we need another container, and if we have container we would be able to use this box decoration thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Decoration. What I could do, I can just copy paste this thing so that it saves our time. Okay, all right, so that's what we did. So we just copy paste the whole thing. All right, okay, so let's do the image. To do the image we need to use image property within box decoration, and we'll call a widget which is called decoration image, and within it we'll also have another image property, and then we'll call a function called AssetImage, and this function basically takes the image path. That's what we write here, pick one the png. So that's the image we have right in our folder, in our project. So over here, and this is the first image we are using. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and save it, and of course I don't think we'll see anything. All right, still nothing there. The reason is because we don't have the height for this container over here, the base container or the parent container, which is within the position container. So what we could do, we can mention the height over here, and again we'll use a screen height for this, and we'll multiply it with 0.16, which is around 150. So the height of this container will be 150, like that. Okay, yeah, perfect. So now things are looking good. Okay, all right, so but now the image itself doesn't really look good. Okay, so what we could do, we can use another property within image. It's called fit. We can call box fit dot cover, and now let's run it and see the result. Okay, perfect. Well, so that's one thing we have, and now one thing we could also we need to get rid of, which is this border. Okay, so let's see if we get rid of this border, what do we see? Okay, images like this. So we don't want to give any border. We can define a shape for it. So we'll say box shape dot circle. Okay, so now we'll have a circular image right there. Okay, perfect. So everything is working good. But now over here, this border is not visible because they're same white. Okay, and another thing is that this border and that border, the border width, they're pretty same. So we can change the border width over here. Instead of 2, we can do 5. Okay, now it looks much better. But now to do this thing, get rid of this white thing, it looks like white, because this big container itself doesn't have any background. So what we could do, we can assign it a background color. Okay, so let's see where we could do this. I guess we can do it here, color. So we'll use it from app colors dot let's see, what What kind of color we can use? Audio gray background, maybe this one. Okay. Looks like we have an error because I know the error reason, because we have box decoration. So if you have container and box decoration, you can only use the color within box decoration. Okay, so let's move it down over here and let's run it one more time. Okay, perfect. So this is the result we are looking for. So far everything is working perfectly the way we wanted. So I want to go through this widget again. So this positioned widget is responsible for showing this one and put the position in the middle of this place around here. So we have this top position 0 point which is multiplied by screen height and 0.12, which is pretty much like little over 100, which is this distance. And then we have the height is this also around 150, like that. Okay, and now we use this left and right position, and the way we used this thing, so it sits or put things in the middle of this width. You can think like that. Okay, and later on we have a container for this, and the container has box decoration so that we can use rounded border. Okay, and we assigned width, and at the same time we assigned the color. And as I said earlier, that if container and box decoration together, in general you can only assign color to one, and that should be for box decoration. And after that we want to put this image over here, and we also want some paddings around it. So that's why we put this image or image container, which is this one, within the padding container, because if we have padding container, it put some padding around that object. So in this case this is a container, and within container we again have box decoration because we want to create circular border like this, or the shape should be like a circle. Okay, and after that we also have this image over here, which is pretty simple. Just put the image right there using decoration image. And well, so far we're pretty happy with this layout. So next we'll build our actual media player, and that's the fantastic or most exciting part of this tutorial. Right, to build an audio player like the earlier image I showed you guys, which is this one. Okay, first we'll use a plugin, and this plugin is coming from this Flutter's official website, which is called pub.dev. And over here we have this plugin, and I have tried many other plugins, and this is the best one so far in my mind. Okay, all right, so I'll put the link below so that you can find it easily. All you need to do, come to this installation page and copy this command. And once you do that, go to your project folder, and well, in your Android Studio or whatever you're using, find a terminal and make sure that you're at the root and in the project itself, and then you copy paste the command, and hopefully it should download everything very quickly. While it is downloading though, I don't know how long it would take because I'm in China. Anyway, so looks like everything is done, and if it's done, then we should check our file, which is called pubspec.yaml, this one. And over here you should see a dependency which is called AudioPlayers, this one. And if you have exactly the same thing like mine, it means you are following along right with me. Okay, so with this we are confirmed that the audio player plugin has been installed. But now the problem with audio player plugin is that it comes with very basic functionality. It supports actually a lot of functionalities, but there is no direct way to use them. So in the rest of this tutorial I'll show you how to build this different buttons, like for example, where is my image? Okay, this one. So different buttons, slow forward, fast forward, repeat, and close the page when you go to another page, like that, or close the audio automatically and start next audio, like that. Okay, so well, now audio player has been installed, so we can close this one. Okay, and now we want to use our audio player right over here within this third positioned widget, right below this text. Okay, right below this text would be over here, somewhere over here. Okay, yeah, so this is our text widget, so over here. But now we want to implement this audio file and feature and everything in a different file. So we'll create a new file. We'll call it say audio file.dart, like that. Yeah, and over here we need a stateful widget because we want to change the state of our audios, because we'll stop it, start it, repeat it. So there are many different conditions involved, and based on that we'll have a re-render of our component. So that's why we need a stateful component, and we'll call it audio file, like that. Okay, and then we need to import another file, this one. Okay, perfect. So well, right now everything is empty for this audio file, not much is there. Okay, all right. What we could do now, we can initialize our audio file. So we can initialize our audio file in our initState function. So let's go ahead and call this function. We'll call void initState, okay, and super.initState. So this will initialize our audio player. Okay, and first let's declare a variable for audio player. So audio player, this one, I guess it got it, this one. Okay, and the variable we'll call advanced audio player. Advanced, I think it's a bit long name, so we'll call it advanced player, like that. Okay, so we declared it there, and now we'll initialize it over here. And let's initialize it. So we'll call this variable advanced player and audio player, this one, and we'll not pass anything right now. Okay, so it's pretty much there. Let's go ahead and compile it and see, make sure that everything is working correctly. Yes, we don't have any error. Let's see, or we might have an error. So missing plugin. Okay, I know we might have to restart our file from the scratch. Okay, because we just installed a plugin. So until you restart, so a lot of the files are not compiled during hot reload. This plugin itself might have some of the dependencies, as you can see from here, installing some pod files, because we are on iOS simulator, and it might take a couple of minutes. So once it's done, I'll be back. Thank you. Oh, it looks like it's actually done. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it means when we compile and everything is working pretty good. Okay, so now we have this our widget, which is this one, and right below it, right below this text widget, we'll call our audio page. So our audio file, the file's name is audio file, which is this one. Okay, all right, and we'll pass parameters to it. We'll call it advanced player. Okay, and I think we need to import it, otherwise we'll get an error. Okay, import it. Now this error, because in the constructor itself we need to mention it. Okay, and over here the same thing, I'll call audio player, this one, and let's see, we'll call it advanced audio player, or advanced player, like that. Okay, and in the constructor itself we also need to mention it. So this dot advanced player. I have an error because we need to declare it as a final. As you can see, that try to make it final, because we have const here. So we'll do it final and see what happens. Okay, perfect. And another problem I think I had earlier over here, that you need to put it this comma instead of semicolon. Okay, so let's save it and run it. and once again everything is working fine because we don't have any error over here. All right, okay. Well, now it's time to get our hand dirty with audio player. All right, here we are with this audio file, and I already initialized some variables and some functions. Let me walk you through. So within our stateful widget, I have initialized two variables. One is duration and the other one is position. They are for keeping track of the audio file itself. So it would be from the beginning of the audio file, and this is how far the audio played. So it would show on the slider. We'll have a slider later. And I also have three booleans over here. So they are for maintaining the state of this button itself. Based on this boolean, we'll change the icon color and things like that. At the same time, I have loaded a file from internet, so I'll keep the I'll put the link below of this video section so that you can play around with this. But again, later on we'll see how to load these things dynamically and change the URL, and make sure that you have https like that. And if you load on the network, you should have https, especially on iOS, and for that reason you this one. Okay, so over here you might need to do settings because you want to load it over the network. Okay, so that's why you need to put some settings over here. If it doesn't work, you need to add this code within your file over here. Okay, add it somewhere if it doesn't work, if you get error. In general, you should get an error, and if you get, just put it there. But if you do have asset or audio file like mine with https, then you should not have an error. Anyway, so later on I have this list for icons where we'll maintain the icon based on click, and after that we have initialized the audio player with the different variables and states. Like over here, when the duration change as the audio plays, we want to keep track that thing, so we initialize using this function. And this is a very common function for playing with audio. Pretty much all the audio player, they have this thing, and this is the one that we start our position of our audio, like from 0 seconds it starts. So that's what it shows us, and this is the final duration or the total length, and this is what changes all the time as the audio plays. And at the same time, you also have to set the URL for the path, and the path is this one. Okay, and do remember, because we initialized our audio actually from audio detail file or audio detail audio page file, which is at the top we did, and we are passing over here to the audio file. So, and we initialized in the constructor. So to use that audio instance, you have to refer it like this widget.advancedPlayer, because that's coming from another file and through the constructor. So you need to refer it using this widget.advancedPlayer. Okay, and after that I have another function for starting button, which is well, again, this would be a start button, and it has some basic condition, and the button is called within load asset, because we'll have a lot more different buttons, so that's why I call it load asset, or asset button should be a good name. And within a build function, I have this load asset over here, and this will use later. So what happens, from build function we call load asset, and load asset in turns go ahead and call button start, and button start is this function, or this also a widget actually, and it shows the icon. Okay, so well, we can go ahead and play it, but nothing will happen. Okay, if we click on this audio or this button, nothing happens. So now we'll learn how to play the audio. Okay, so we can actually press on it, but nothing happens. So as we can press on it, we can play the audio. Okay, so to play the audio, all we need to do, call this .widget.advancedPlayer.play, and you need to pass the path of the audio. and which we initialized early over here. Okay, all right. So now if we click on this, we'd be able to play. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, yeah, so things should be pretty good. Yeah, it's playing, but we don't have the pause button, so we have to
page 149.
initialize and make our own pause button. So there is no direct way to stop it, so I'll stop it from here. Okay, it's gone, and I'll play it once again, but not play the audio. I'll just restart the app. Okay, so now what we could do, we need to keep track of the press. Okay, so that's why we initialized this booleans up there. So the first thing we need to do, well, now they're also initialized to false. So very first thing, we need to change the icon. So we check if is playing false. If it's false, we show the first icon, and first icon is this one. So which index is 0. So index 0. All right. Okay. And if it's not false, so we show a different icon. The next one. Okay, all right. So if it's false, of course at the beginning it's false, so we show this arrow icon once again, this arrow icon. If it's not false, we show this pause icon over here. Okay, all right. But now we need to change the state based on press. So right now if we press, we start. Okay, so once we press, immediately we have to show the pause button so that user can pause it. Okay, all right. So how we could do it, once we pause it, we need to make a render of this UI, and that only happens from setState function. Because if you have a setState function, and if you change something within setState, and that it causes a re-render. Okay, so now we'll set is playing equal true. Okay, so if is playing is true, so this condition is not true over here, so we'll fall back to this one. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's what's happening here. And what else we could do? Let's see. At the same time, we need to check over here if is playing. If it's false, then we'll continue with this condition. Okay, on pressed, it checks if it's currently false or not. If it's false, then we'll set it to true, and because is playing set to true, and which is also within setState function, so it causes a re-render, and if re-render happens, then immediately we'll see the next icon. Okay, so not this icon. All right, and what happens if it's not true, if it's not false? So it means in that case it is true. Okay, so it is playing true. If it is playing true, what do? We want to, so if it's already is playing as a true, which means a user has pressed on it. Okay, so we want to stop it, so we'll call setState once again. Let's say the function setState, so is playing false. Okay, and at the same time we need to set this one to pause, and we can just call the pause function. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and play it, and then I'll explain one more time, hopefully better than last time. Let's see if we have an error. No, we don't have any error, so we can play it. And as you see, play
chapter 16,
the icon changes. Okay, so what happens here once so currently this is false, so that's why we see this icon, the first one, this is arrow, and if it's false, if the pressed button triggered, then we play the audio. Okay, play this audio, and at the same time we change the state of this variable, which we set it to true, because if it's true we can see that it's playing, because there would be this pause button. Okay, so next time when we play on this, press on this unpressed button or event, when onPressed happens, it checks, oh, is playing, is it true? If it's true and we click on it, it means the user wants to stop it, so we stop it. And at the same time, we change the is playing immediately to false. If it's false, because it's within set state, so the re-render happens again, and because re-render happens, so we see the first icon. Hopefully it makes sense.
Chapter 16.
Okay, well, now that's about playing and pausing. Okay, now at the same time, we want to show the time at the top. Okay, so the time actually happens from here. Okay, all right. As I said you earlier, that position keeps track of the time of the audio which is playing, and as the audio is playing, the time changes, and that's where we have this position variable. It stores the time, and it is initialized early when we initialize our audio file over here. So onAudioPositionChanged. Okay, so we have a variable, this one, and this variable initialized right before that over here. Okay, so this underscore position keeps the track of the current audio time. Okay, and the duration keeps the length of this audio. Okay, so let's go ahead and play it. Okay, now let's play it. Well, definitely we don't want this milliseconds, so we need to split them. Okay, so to split them, we can use a function. It's called split. Okay, and split based on dot. Okay, because if you see over here, it has this dot here, and before dot it's I guess it's a seconds, and after dot it's a milliseconds. Okay, the same for this duration variable, which is this one. Okay, and we split it, and after splitting it, we take the first one. So first one is hour, minute, and second, so we don't need this thing. Once again, so we split this one first. Definitely we convert it to string, and then we split it based on this one. It's more like JavaScript function or other PHP functions. Okay, and then we take the first one. The same one we should do for the duration variable, and again we take the first one. So let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now it's looking much better.
Chapter 6.
So we can stop it. So the next thing we want to do is over here, change the icon size, because right now it's too small. Okay, so you can do size 50, and over here size 50. Okay, and at the same time we can set a color for this. Okay, so color equal colors.blue. Okay, and the same one over here, because black color doesn't really match our UI over here. Colors.blue. Okay, let's go ahead and see the end result.
Chapter 16.
Okay, well, next we'll see how to implement a slider over here so that you can manually change the time. So we are going to work with slider. I already have this basic function in widget. So I have a slider widget. I return a widget over here, and I named it slider, and it's Flutter itself has a widget. It's called slider, so that's what we are using here. Okay, and it takes a few parameters or properties, as you can see from there. So we have defined different color, active color and inactive color. We'll see very soon. And then slider will also have maximum value and minimum value. So this value is this one, more like when it starts, like from 0 seconds, and this is the maximum second of the slider. This is the value the slider can reach, and after that the slider will stop, and this is from where it will start. And again we define a minimum value in case if you pass here negative, so that's why this minimum value. And someone taps on the slider, so what it does, it takes that value and change it to second. Well, that's what we are doing here. So someone taps on the slider, we take that value and change it to second when we call this function change to second. and set it to a function which advanced player has, I mean which our audio player has. That's called seek function. So it is the function like when someone taps on the slider, it takes that value, and this function is called seek, and we just pass it to it. Okay, now we can go ahead and call this slider from here, slider. Okay, and let's run our function, run our app. Okay, perfect. So this is the slider we have seen, but the slider is at the bottom. We don't want it at the bottom, we want it at the top. So let's see if we can move it up and see what happens. Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah. No, now let's run it. Yes, perfect.
Chapter 16.
Now we can move it anywhere we want.
11.
Okay, so now the sliders, it is working perfectly, and next we'll implement our different buttons like fast forward, slow forward, and repeat, and the other buttons there. Now we'll have these two buttons for fast forward and slow forward. Right now I just have this image for these buttons, and they're as icon, and at the same time they're icon button, and I have this basic color setup and nothing else, and the on press event, it's pretty empty. So let's go ahead and call this to, well, I think we are using them as a widget, so let's go ahead and call this to widget from here. So over here we want to put the first button, and which is button slow. So once we press on it, the audio plays slowly, and next we'll have button fast. Once we press on it, the audio will play fast. So we can go ahead and run the app. Let's see the result. And of course it doesn't work. Only thing it works here is this one, but fast and slow forward, they don't really work. That's because we are not implementing on press event. So on fast button or button fast, we can call the function widget advanced player, and here we have a function, it's called setPlaybackRate, this one. So these are the functions, they're written internally within this file. So if you want, you can go ahead and play and look at the file, so you'll understand more. Okay, now we can set here, that's called playback rate, and we can set it to 1.5. I think the highest rate is 2. It starts from 0, I guess, or 0.5. You can read the documentation if you want to understand more, and I'll keep the link below of this video for the documentation, so you can play around with that. Okay, and we'll do the same for the other one. We can just copy paste, and instead of 1.5 we can do 0.5, so it would play slowly, and with 1.5 it will play faster, and with 1 it plays regularly. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the result. Okay, now we start it.
Chapter 16.
Okay, we can now
Page
fast
149. Vocabulary preview.
It's changing too fast.
Got up.
Okay.
2. Took a shower.
Yeah, now we can slow forward. Now it is playing very slowly, as you can see. The second slow, this one over here is very slow. All right, yeah. So we can do again fast.
3.
Yeah, well, very slow, pretty slow. All right, so that's how we are done with this fast forward and slow forward button. Next we'll play around with other two buttons, which is repeat button and loop button. Okay, now we'll do this two buttons, which is button loop and button repeat. So mostly we'll be playing with button repeat button, this one, and we have a boolean at the top we declared earlier, which is loop. Instead of is loop, we can call it is repeat. So it will help us to keep the track of the repeat button. And the name was wrong though. Repeat, well, I guess R-E-P-A-T. A-T, repeat, yes. All right. Okay, so we're over here. Yeah, this one. Okay, so right now what we could do, we can over here call them. Okay, so we'll call it button let's say repeat, and button loop. I think we're missing a comma here. Let's go ahead and see the result. Once again, if we click on them, nothing will happen because we didn't implement any onPress event. So we want to implement onPress event here. So as usual, just like last time, first we'll check if is repeat. If is repeat equal false, then you have to do something. Okay, false means nobody has pressed on it. If nobody has pressed on it, so we can set the state to repeat because we want to repeat it. So widget.advanced player, and it is a function called setReleaseMode. Okay, this one, and it takes okay, well, it has a parameter called release, I guess, release, and this one actually. So we'll use this one. So it will keep repeating because it's said release.loop. Again, if you don't understand this function, you can go ahead and see the documentation and the function itself. Okay, all right. So once we press the button, definitely first time it is repeat is false, so it would fall back to this condition. It will try to play in loop, and at the same time we'll press we'll put it is repeat as true. So the next time we can change the condition. Okay, as repeat as true, like this. Okay, well, so that's what's happening here. And well, I think we can put it within our state variable because we want to re-render and change the color once the button has been pressed. So we'll call setState and put it there, and at the same time we'll change the color of this icon. All right, okay. So well, right now we don't have any place for changing color. What we could do, we could declare a variable. So we can declare here a variable called color, and we'll call it color, and is the type is color. Actually, type of variable is color, and initialize a color to it, colors.black. Okay, very good. And now over here, our button, which is said repeat, over here we can change the color. So the current color, we give it color. So this color is coming from the top we saw early. So we want to change this variable color value when the button is pressed. So what we could do, we can call color equal colors.blue. So once the button is pressed, this color is changed to blue color, and then because it's within setState variable, so render happens and the image icon and the color change very quickly. Okay, so what we could do, we could run it and play it, and over here you see it changed.
Chapter 16.
And we can verify if it's going to play in a loop like this. Okay, so hopefully it will play in a loop. Yes, it did. All right.
Chapter
and again,
16.
of course, we can play fast
Page
forward
149.
or slow forward, and we can go there, fast forward, and the loop would still work, as you can see. All right. Yes. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we want to unrepeat it. Okay, you want to repeat or unrepeat because you don't want to listen to a song forever, right? And who does? Anyway, so now here's the condition. So we'll check if else is repeat equal true, then we'll do something else. So we can copy paste this one and put it right over here, and set release instead of loop over here we can call release. So it will release from the loop, which means it won't repeat. Okay, all right, and in that case we'll put it back to a different color, which is color black. Instead of blue, we'll do black. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. Okay, so let's play it, and we did it.
Chapter 16.
Yes, now it will run in a loop, but now we unloop
Chapter
it.
16.
And let's check if it runs or not. Yes, it stopped there. But now the next thing we need to do, if the audio has done playing, we want to reset it back to here and change this icon as well. So that's what we'll be doing next. So in this part of this tutorial, we'll learn how to reset back to the slider when it's finished playing, like when it's over here. Like right now we can do a experiment. We play it and we'll put it at the end, and we'll see that it doesn't go back to the original place. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. So, and it's pretty easy to do. The first thing we need to do, call a function. It's called onPlayerCompletion, things like that. So we'll call from our advanced player, and it is onPlayerCompletion, this one, and it also has an event for listener for this function listen. Okay, and within it we'll have a state variable because we want to change the slider state, as well as it should start from here. So it's the UI change, so we should trigger a re-render. To trigger a re-render, we would call within setState function. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is putting this position. Remember, this is the only initial position and the position that changes with the slide. Okay, so this is the variable that's responsible and saves the value. So we'll set it back to 0, and we'll do duration seconds 0. Okay, and at the same time we want to change this icon back to the original icon, which is this icon. All right, okay, so we'll do is playing false, okay, and at the same time is repeat. Let's see, we can do is repeat false or not, just to make sure that everything is the default setup. Okay, all right, now we need to restart our application. In general, if you have this setState, most of the time if you don't really restart, it doesn't work. Let's see if it works or not. Okay, all right, now we're back here and let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. So now it gets back to 0 over here, right? And that's what we wanted. Now what happens if we run this audio and if we have this repeat function?
Chapter
okay?
16.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's see what happens here. So you see this icon is wrong icon.
Chapter 16.
In this position we
Page
should
149.
see this icon over here, but it's not changing.
Preview.
Okay, all right, so let me stop the audio first and let me restart it again. Okay, so it's not changing because of this condition. Okay, so well, when it's playing, we need to check if it's playing or not, if a repeat condition is there or not. So we can check if is repeat equal true. If we are doing repeat, so do something. Let me move this up because it's the default condition for everyone else. Okay, and also this two conditions, we'll put them up. Okay, so now if it's repeating position, or we clicked on this one, then what we do is playing back to true. Okay, so if it's back to true, we remember that if it's true, then we will see this icon. Okay, and which we saw early in our condition in our widget function btn start over here. We have seen this condition. Okay, if this condition is false, the first icon, otherwise we show the second icon. All right, so now we could go ahead and see the result. Okay, let's restart our app. Okay, I guess it did. All right, and now we'll play it. Yeah, now let's go and see the result. What happens? Okay, perfect. So this icon is same as 16. We expected. Okay, all right, now what happens if we don't want this one? Say, I'm sorry, all of a sudden restart of the application. All right, so let's see. Okay, now we want to see if we release this one, what happens. Okay, yeah, release this one, what happens? Yeah, now there's another problem. We released this and we don't want to repeat, so this icon should change as well. But this icon is not changing because we need to send the condition over here, okay? btn repeat this function, widget function over here. So once we release this condition, it means we don't want it to repeat. So in that case, we need to set it back to false. Is repeat equal false? Okay, now it should work. So let's go ahead and run our application. All right, yeah, and restart everything. Let's see. So we would be here and check with this one first. Okay, let's see what happens. Perfect. So it started. The icon is the same icon we as expected.
Chapter 16.
Okay, and now we
Page
pull it
1.
back to over here, and let's see. So it should come back to this place, and icon should change. Yes, perfect. So now we can do as we the thing
Chapter
we expected,
16.
right?
Page 149.
And let's see other conditions. They're true or
Vocabulary
not,
preview.
like this one.
1.
Okay, it's
Got
working, and this one, it's working as well. All right, okay, so this is pretty much our audio player here. It's ready. They're ready, and there are a lot more things that we could do with this, but we'll keep these things for further tutorial. Now we'll see how to dynamically add this audio in from our playlist. So we'll have a playlist here, and as well as from our front page UI. So in the next of this rest of this tutorial, we'll first focus how to create a playlist here. Okay, this is our audio page, and this audio page has been done through this class, which is called detail audio page. Now we want to go back and take a look at our home page, okay, which is my home page. And this one is coming from this class, where this one, and the class is called my home page. Okay, all right. So we already did it in our previous tutorial. If you don't know how to do it, check out the link below and start from there. I will also put the link for the code and YouTube tutorial so that you can follow along smoothly. Okay, so now we'll start the app and see the result. Okay, so our homepage was pretty much like this as we did earlier tutorial. Okay, now what do we want to do? We want to be able to click on each of them, okay, and go to a new page. Do remember that earlier we have loaded a lot of information for these cards. We loaded them in a JSON file, okay, and we stored them in two variables, which is one of them is popular books, the other one is books, okay, and they're list type variables, and we decoded them, and then we saved them in books and the other variable popular books, okay. So and then we rendered them. So now what we want to do, as we click on this, we want to pass some of this information like this writer's name, subtitle, and audio to another page. So we want to push them to a new page. Do remember that this information all are coming from JSON file, which is books.json. This JSON file, we simulated real world application, because in the real world application, if you request something from a server, the server returns things as a JSON, okay, JSON request, and within JSON request you will have a key, and for each key will have a different value. So in our case, these are the keys and these are the values, and our audio file has changed a little bit from the previous tutorial. In previous tutorial we are saving them as a local asset, but now we want to load them remotely from a server, because that's what happens in real life. Most of the time you load audios from server, so most of them should have HTTPS. If you don't have, you have to do some certain settings, which I said earlier in this tutorial. So if you didn't follow it, you can go back and check, and if you still don't understand, you can leave a comment and I'll try to answer your questions. Okay, so this is our JSON file, and once again this JSON file, they're all loaded over here in this books variable and popular books variable. So now we want to push them to another page. So to push them, we need to find a code where we can push them. So we know that there is a code for responsible for showing each of these cards. So let's find it. And so far I remember, this is the code which is responsible for showing each of this card. Okay, so and here is a container, and this container shows each of these cards. So we want to wrap this container within a gesture detector. Okay, and gesture detector takes few parameters. The first one is onTap, and onTap is responsible for pushing things to a new page. Okay, and the second one would be a child, and we can wrap our container as a child of this gesture detector. Okay, and we need to return things over here using semicolon. Okay, all right, so now if we go ahead and run, nothing will happen, and onTap event onto response, because we don't have anything to response. Okay, so to response or to go to a new page, in general you use a component or a widget which is called Navigator. Okay, and from Navigator you can push things. Okay, and Navigator takes two parameters. First one is the context. Most of the time we don't change it. And next one is the route. Route tells you which page to go. So in our case, we are only going to one page, which is this one. And this is not a certain route, actually. This is a class. So to use a class as a route, what we could do, we can wrap it around using MaterialPageRoute, this class. And it takes a function, actually. The function parameter is context, and then you can call the actual function. Okay, this actual function is the class or file you want to navigate to. In our case, this is detail audio page, this one. Okay, and we need to use semicolon, otherwise we'll get error. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it and see the result. Okay, now let's click on this. Of course, we came to a new page, but if we try to go back, can we? No, we can't go back. So why not? Because this button doesn't respond, and this button is over here. Okay, this button is over here, iOS button, and it should respond to an onPress event. So we'll call onPressed, and over here we want to response back. Okay, or go back. As just now we saw that if you want to come to a new page, use Navigator.push. So if you want to go back from that page to another page, you use Navigator.pop. Okay, Navigator.off context dot pop. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it and see the result. Okay. Yes, so now we have this page, and if we click on this, we can go back. Now come to a new page and tap on this button, and we can go back. Same for this one. So it's working properly. But now the problem is, wherever you click, it shows you the same information, right? Even over here, the same information. So now we want to able to change the information, and this information is coming from the JSON file, as I told you earlier. Okay, so now what we could do, we can pass this JSON over here, this JSON data, which is stored as a string right now. So we can pass them to this detail audio page. Okay, all right, so now we can pass it as books data books. So this is what we want to grab over here in its constructor. So we'll declare a variable called final books data, and then over here we'll call this books data. Okay, perfect. And at the same time, do remember that this file also has this index I. We also want to pass each index. This index is connected with each of these cards. So the first card has index 0, second card has index 1, and the third card has index 2, so forth, so on, like this. Okay, so we want to pass the index as well, and we can pass it like index.I. all right, okay, and we need to grab this index over here. So let's go ahead and declare a variable final int index. Okay, and we need to initialize it in the constructor. Okay, and now over here the arrow should be gone. Yeah, there is no more error. Okay, all right, so now we are passing this data in books data and also the index. So what we could do, we can grab this information over here, which I already did, and change our information over here. Okay, so earlier we did hard-coded information, but now based on index and JSON data, we want to change them. So let's get the JSON data first. So our JSON data is within this variable, which is called books data. All right, now we want to, based on index, we want to get certain values. So call our index this.widget.index, and now the first one over here, so this was a title, if you remember from our JSON file. So this is the title, and title is the actual book's name, and text is the writer's name, right? Okay, and now let's change it over here. So what I could do, I could copy paste this one and put it over here, and instead of title, now we can call text. All right, so let's go ahead and save it. Okay, application restarted. So remember, our writer's name is the book's name is the water cure. So we come here, we can see water cure, and this is the writer's name. Okay, and now in this case our book's name is Peace Life and writer's name is Hazard Bin. Perfect, so looks like it's working. So now here's Day Remember and Nicholas. Day Remember and Nicholas. Now what do we want to do? We also want to change this picture over here based on books. Okay, so the picture was over here, it was hard-coded as well. Now we can change the picture because we have the JSON data, this.widget.books data, and then again we'll call this index this.widget.docs.index. Once again, if you don't know where is this index coming from, index is coming from over here, this one. Over here, this one. Okay, all right. So now here we can call our image. So we can just simply call img. Do remember that again, img is this one. So each of them, they have different images. So what do? Let's restart our application and see what happens. Okay, so now for the first one, we have this image and this information, and we'd be able to see the same thing over here. And for the second one, the image is different, and again the new information for the authors and the subtitle. And for the third one, the same. Perfect. So now these things are working pretty good in our application. Next, we'll see how to pass a different audio for each of these and play them. Now we'll pass the audio to the audio player, because right now they have the same audio, so we want to have a different audio for each file. Okay, all right, so to do that we need to find our audio page file, like this file. So let's find where it is. Okay, yeah, this is over here, and all we need to do is just to grab the audio and pass it. To grab the audio, we'd write like this dot widget box data, and then this dot widget index. So index takes keep the record of the number of item we have over here, and then all we need to do is to call audio from our JSON file, like this key. All right, and we need to assign it to a variable. So we'll call it audio path, like that. Okay, and well, we have an error here because we need to do the same in the construction for audio file over here. So let's go ahead and declare a variable. We'll call it final string audio path. Okay, and within constructor we'll initialize it. We'll call it this dot audio path. Okay, now we can access this variable from our file using this dot widget dot audio path, like that, and we no longer need this one. So from here we can call this audio path, this dot widget dot audio path. All right, and in one more place we need to replace it over here, this dot widget dot audio path. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead, save it, and run the program. Okay, it's reloaded, as you see. All right, now this is the audio number 1, hopefully. So as you can hear,
Chapter 16.
okay, so this audio
Page
talks about chapter 16,
149.
page 149.
Vocabulary preview.
So now let's go to play the second audio. So yes, they are different
Page
audios, so it
27.
means that our
Build your
audios are being loaded dynamically. Okay, now there's one problem. If you play like this and go back, you'll find that it's still playing, okay? But we don't want it to play, we want it to stop automatically, okay? Right now it's not stopping.
I'd like a
But anyway,
hamburger,
I'll stop
please.
the app first. Okay, and I'll start it. At the same time, we'll edit the code. So to stop it automatically, when you click on the back button, we need to implement a line of code. First, we need to find the back button. Well, the back button is over here, hopefully in our second widget, this one over here. So when onPressed happens, we want to stop the audio. So right now we are returning a line of code, but we want to return a block of code actually. So to do that, all we need to do like this and put a semicolon over here. Now we can write few lines of code. So once onPress happens, first we'll stop the audio, and we have an audio player instance over here, this one. Okay, so we'll stop it. So we'll just call advanced audio player, advanced audio player.stop. That's all we need to do. Okay, now let's go ahead and hot reload our application. Okay, now let's see.
Chapter 16.
Okay, now
Page
let's go back and
104.
see. Yes, it stopped automatically.
Page 27.
Let's go
Build
back.
your-
And it stopped automatically. Now let's play it again. And let's do the loop, if we can loop it or not. Yes, it works.
Chapter 16.
Alright, so all these few buttons they work at the same time. But I really don't know what is this for though for now. So well, with this actually we are pretty much end of this tutorial. And over here definitely we can add a playlist. Okay, and I'm going to leave it up to you how to do that. We can optimize this audio player further. For example, if you play an audio and then if you
Chapter
stop
16.
it, for example, right now it stopped at 0.04, but if you restart it, it starts from 000, but it should start from 0.4 seconds, which it doesn't, as you can see. So definitely we can optimize it, and you can try to do it on your own, and if you can't, you can leave a comment in the comment section and I'll reply you how to do that. And at the same time, if you liked this video and if you learned something from it, don't forget to share it with your friends, and don't forget to smash this like button and subscribe at the same time. And you need to stay tuned for the next upcoming videos. At the same time, leave a comment in the comment section that what kind of videos or app UI you want next time, and what kind of backend you want, because we might have Firebase, Node.js, and Laravel or Python. And just let me know what kind of backend you want, okay, and I'll try to make app or backend like that and share it with you guys. So I'll see you very soon next time. Take care.